Hi, I'm Nancy. This is Salty Film Major, the show where everything is made up and the points don't matter. This is Salty Film Major, the show where we dissect and analyze film in an academic context to prove that I'm not wasting thousands of dollars on a film degree. Today we'll be discussing... Be forewarned, major spoilers ahead for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. If you haven't watched this film before, it is absolutely fantastic and I highly recommend it. So come back to this video later. Otherwise, stick around. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation offers up themes regarding the ethical nature of espionage, what it means to be a tool of the government, and who exactly can be trusted in this world of intrigue. Every film has a politics, even if it in itself is not a political film. The politics in Rogue Nation aligns itself softly with its protagonist, Ethan Hunt. However, the narrative of the film offers up differing perspectives on these themes. The government in Rogue Nation is something that can never be trusted, even if it seems to have quote-unquote good intentions. There are two primary examples of the government within the film, the CIA and MI6. Both of these organizations have similarities, however their arcs are resolved in different manners. In Rogue Nation, the CIA is viewed as a dangerous and very powerful organization. Hunley, wanting the IMF to be dismantled, states that the IMF has no accountability and no oversight. This indicates that he wishes that the organization he operates, the CIA, to be run under those rules. It is, but the power that it holds greatly surpasses that of the IMF, even if the IMF was still in power. Brandt realizes that even if the CIA has oversight, it will still make reckless decisions and wrongly accuse Ethan of conspiring against the state. With everything they have access to, the CIA is not thorough enough to determine that Ethan is not a villain, and Hunley lets his prejudice get the better of him. Hunley is in pursuit of actionable intelligence, but when he does get it, he states,
"He was on a plane to Vienna with tickets to the opera, and within 6 hours of his arrival, the Chancellor was dead." Now, that might be circumstance to some public defender, but to the CIA, that is actionable intelligence.
He views the CIA as above the law. This guarantees that any agent will not be given the same rights as a citizen of the country that they are paid to protect. The nature of the government within the narrative is to combat human interest, never to protect it. Human interest is only worth protecting if it aligns with the government's own interests. That brings us to MI6 and Atlee, Ilsa's handler. Atlee's true intent is never dug into in a profound manner. However, what we do get in the narrative displays a dangerous ideology. Atlee does not want accountability, he prefers secrecy and shadiness, which is why he establishes the syndicate in the first place. It is a way to protect Western interests without having to risk his own government's name. Each agent in the syndicate was recruited from different countries and supplied with a new identity, securing that in the event a mission was to go awry, those agents would never be tied back to MI6. Atlee also has no problem in burning his agents when their usefulness has ended or if they are in the way of his plans. When Ilsa explains why she saved Ethan the first time, Atlee states,
"There are no allies in statecraft, Ilsa, only common interests. As it stands, Ethan Hunt is a man without a country. This makes killing him decidedly less complicated."
The government within the narrative is always tied back to some form of interest, be it Western, common, or some other form, and its interests are never truly aligned in some form of humanity. Brandt, when he lies to Hunley for the first time, is told this,
Let's cut the bull. You know who we are. You know what we're capable of.
The government is shown to use intimidation tactics on its agents in order to get them to comply with their demands. Benji is subjugated weekly, for 6 months at least, to polygraph tests as a form of intimidation and psychological torture, in order to get information on Ethan. Atlee threatens Ilsa's life when she refuses to go back to Lane.
"Might I remind you, you are without a country of your own?" "The director of the CIA called me inquiring about you personally. Of course, to protect your cover, I had to lie. So as far as the Americans are concerned, you're a rogue assassin, a target of opportunity. Precious few people know about your true identity. It would be unfortunate if we forgot." "You see, there really is no choice, Ilsa. You're going back."
The government is shown to be frightening in its capabilities and ideology.
Satellite overwatch covering all 7 continents. DNA profiling, facial recognition, drone surveillance, drone strikes.
They are more than willing to forsake their agents out of convenience, and agents themselves aren't perceived as human, but are instead tools as a mean to a goal.
No, they're not going to catch him. No, this is the CIA. This is Hunley. We're talking about things are out of control. No, they're going to kill him. They're going to kill Ethan. They're going to kill Benji.
Because of this treatment, is it honestly a wonder why they all go rogue over the course of the film? Each agent in Rogue Nation goes rogue for a different reason, the most interesting of these reasons coming from Ilsa, Ethan, and Lane himself. Luther is an interesting character in the narrative for this aspect. He technically isn't an agent anymore, given that he quit once Hunley took over. However, earlier on in the film's cold open, he is shown not to care much about protocol and the rules that Brent is concerned with. He cares more about the outcome of the mission and the lives that could be affected if he or the team fails.
How do you access the uplink?
It involves hacking a Russian satellite.
I can't authorize that.
Which is why I didn't ask permission.
We are under investigation for misconduct.
The package is on board. What do you want me to do?
Luther is initially disinterested in getting involved with Brent. He views Brent as untrustworthy given that he chose to stay behind and work for Hunley. He has great faith in Ethan's ability, almost to a dangerous extent. He does not believe anything could happen to Ethan, which makes sense as he has been out of the field for a few months by that point. He is unaware of what has been happening in the CIA, and it is not until he is confronted with the possibility of Ethan's death that he agrees to join Brent, but not before threatening him in case he does something to hurt Ethan.
You need to understand something. Ethan is my friend. And if I have 1 second of doubt whose side you're on,
I believe you.
Brent never goes rogue until Benji's and Ethan's lives are in danger. Up until that point, he rebels in quiet, unnoticeable ways, being implied to help Ethan along the way during his mission. His reasoning, however, differs from Luther in terms of why he rebels. He wants the IMF reinstated and knows that by helping Ethan, it could happen. His allegiance is with Ethan, but he isn't necessarily loyal to him. Not through the entire narrative anyway. He fights with Ethan, trying to figure out the best course of action to stop Lane, but he also is protective of his friends and just wants to ensure their safety and make sure that human lives are not put into danger. He does not like taking unnecessary risks. Benji is the most fiercely loyal to Ethan throughout the narrative. Because of his treatment during his time at the CIA, he takes any opportunity to rebel against it. He plays Halo 5 to avoid the monotony of his work. He protects himself and Ethan by lying about their friendship. After their mission in Austria goes wrong, he refuses to leave Ethan's side and instead demands to stay as he wants to help. It is what he signed up for when he became a field agent, and he hasn't been able to function in that capacity for some time. Ilsa goes rogue in two different ways. One is at the behest of her government. She is to infiltrate the syndicate in order to help bring it down from the inside. At least, that is what she's told. After meeting with Atlee later on in the film, she seems to have come to terms with the fact that she cannot trust her government, but she cannot fully align herself with Lane's ideology. She seems to agree with Ethan on a surface level, until she states,
Lane, Atlee, your government, my government, they're all the same. We only think we're fighting for the right side because that's what we choose to believe.
In reality, Ilsa is primarily concerned with her own self-preservation and protecting innocence. Initially, the only reason she saves Ethan in London is that he is an American agent, an ally to her government. The second time she saves him, it is because of the rapport they have established, and she has a sense of trust in him. But because she's still under the influence of MI6 and Lane, she has to betray him. Ilsa is a thematic mirror of Ethan. She goes through similar beats of being betrayed, and she is an example of what would happen if Ethan would care solely about his own interests. She is a more morally ambiguous character, which makes her very compelling, especially given the genre she is found in, but that is for another discussion. In turn, Solomon Lane is a thematic foil for Ethan Hunt. He is an example of what Ethan could become if he let all his trauma lead him to seek revenge in the most violent way possible. Make no mistake, Lane is a terrorist, even if he himself does not agree with that sentiment, viewing himself more as an anarchist.
Well, if we're being honest, you're a terrorist.
If that were true, then my goal would be to spread fear, but my method is far more surgical.
You kill innocent people.
I helped my government kill many innocent people and more, so much more. Killing to keep things as they were. And now I'm killing to bring about change.
He seems to believe that he is the only one capable of dismantling the status quo, but if he were truly to desire change, at least change in a way that forces the government to acknowledge its actions, Lane wouldn't be using the very system that turned him to bring about that change. No, he desires revenge. This aspect of his character is expanded upon further in Mission Impossible Fallout, but for now, in the breakdown Ethan gives Lane about his character, Ethan mentions revenge.
You blame this system for what you are, instead of yourself. You wanted revenge. But Rome wasn't destroyed in a day. You needed help. You needed money. A lot of it.
Lane's desire to go against his government is to make them pay for their misdeeds against him and the agents they have used. A tit-for-tat retribution. In direct contrast, we have Ethan motherfucking Hunt, the most extra disaster spy on the face of the planet. Look at him. Look at this man. Please, just somebody help him. Ethan Hunt as a character within the narrative is made to be the one the audience sympathizes with, obviously, as he is the protagonist. He is the one whom which the narrative identifies with ideologically. He's the ideal figure within the spy world, as he refuses his own happiness and self-interest in order to complete his mission. He's been doing this for a long time, and he has faced many challenges and has lost many friends and loved ones, yet he does not let that stop him from doing the greater good.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good. How can this be for the greater good? The greater good. How can this be for the greater good? The greater good. Shut it!
Sorry, that's the wrong movie. The point stands that Ethan's motivation for going rogue stems from stopping the syndicate primarily, and had the government not disavowed him and his actions, he would go through more official channels. But given that the IMF in this franchise always finds some way to persecute Ethan and his team, he is prepared to go against it in order to secure common human good. He's not loyal to his or any government, even though he is aligned with the Americans. He simply is loyal to human life and stopping those who would harm it. Huntley seems to truly understand what Ethan is all about once all is revealed, and he has a change of heart, allowing Ethan to complete his mission and ultimately reinstating the IMF as the new secretary, coming to fully trust Team Hunt. This also becomes something that's further expanded upon in Mission Impossible Fallout. MI6 gets no resolute conclusion with Ilsa or Lane, not until Fallout anyway. But the implications of what is to happen are very ambiguous. Ilsa rides off to an uncertain fate, but seemingly free from the control of Solomon Lane and MI6 for the time being. The relationships here in the movie and the dynamics that they display are interesting to say the least, especially when they are contrasted and compared. As stated before, Team Hunt is loyal to Ethan and his intentions. They are all equals, having a say in how each mission is going to happen. Ethan relies fully on his team and isn't a towering figure that places himself above his friends. They are his family, and he wants their safety above all else. They are free to question Ethan. They are never made to feel as though there is no choice in the decisions that they make. The dynamic between Lane and Ilsa is very different. Lane does not trust anyone. He is suspicious of her and her intentions, and thus monitors her with great frequency, sending 2 assassins to the opera to kill her if she deviates from the plan. When she recovers the disc in Morocco, another group is sent to recover it from her. Ilsa is not an equal or anything to either Lane or MI6. The only time she is treated as such is when she is with Ethan and his team, for the most part, which sets up her desire to escape the spy world for good.
And what about Lane?
Forget about Lane. There will always be another Lane. There will always be people like us to face him. We've done our part, and we've been cast aside.
The central relationship to this movie is that of Ethan and Benji, and you can absolutely fucking fight me on this. This is the hill I'm going to die on. From the very beginning, the film sets up Benji as a central character as he appears first on screen. He becomes the emotional center of this film when he has his polygraph. As mentioned before, it is used as a tactic in order to place psychological pressure on him. However, it is shown he is a good liar, and he understands that lying will protect Ethan and his mission. He glances to Brant knowingly, indicating to the audience that what he says regarding Ethan in this moment is in all likelihood a lie. This is outright confirmed by the red lines later on in the scene. They share a deep connection as Ethan reaches out to Benji out of everyone he knows in order to help with his mission. Benji deeply worries for Ethan, wishing to see him, but because of Ethan's status as a wanted man, they cannot. It is not until the boat scene, which also functions as exposition, that their friendship is stated outright. Because of Ethan's past experiences in the Mission Impossible franchise, he knows Benji's life is being put in immediate danger. He doesn't just want Benji to leave, he needs him to.
I can't protect you. That's why I need you to leave.
It's not your decision to make, Ethan. I am a field agent. I know the risks. More than that, I am your friend. No matter what I tell the polygraph every week. Now, you called me because you needed my help, and you still do. So I am staying. And that is all we are going to say about that.
Benji, wanting in part to leave the thumb he is under at the CIA, as well as help Ethan bring the syndicate down, insists on leaving with him. This makes Benji's kidnapping in the middle of the film all the more heartbreaking. Lane realizes that Benji is who he needs in order to get what he wants, which is the disc. Lane utilizes human nature to his advantage in order to manipulate Ethan. When Benji discovers that Ethan has drowned, he rushes to his side.
Jesus, is he alright? What happened? What happened?
Ethan himself is concerned primarily for Benji's safety once he is kidnapped. He holds the Prime Minister hostage, for God's sakes. And you know what else he does? He gives Lane $50 million fucking dollars. You know what Luther explicitly told him not to do?
Ethan, wait.
If I'm not there in 15 minutes, he'll kill Benji.
The mission is to bring down the syndicate. If Lane gets his hands on that money, we're unleashing a terrorist superpower.
He'll never take me alive. I'll make sure of it.
But he does it to save Benji's life. And given that the remnants of the syndicate are still running about in Fallout, that money was definitely invested in the syndicate. Ethan Matthew Hunt literally funded terrorism in exchange for Benji's life. And after all of that, Benji still wants to stay and help Ethan, but Ethan sends him away, not just to protect Benji, but for Benji to help capture Lane. Ethan recognized how Benji wants so badly to do his job and help, so he ensures that Benji has a role in the final plan while still maintaining his safety. They share very soft glances and actually appear to communicate with just eye contact. Guys, just look, they love each other, alright? No matter which way you interpret this relationship, it is central to the movie and it warms my heart.
The show's about to start, Benji.
Right.
Just take your position. Tell me what you see.
Okay.
Nice tux, by the way.
So that is my take on Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching, and keep on rocking.